a gleam, men. There's a gleam. Let's get the gleam, all right? Let's go.
They had to shut this thing down. And that's where USAID came in. Check this out.
Let me ask you one thing before I forget. Privat Bank. I understand the governor of the bank is tentative about setting a date certain for the transition to take place. And I'm being told secondhand that, I don't know this is her position for sure, that she is unsure of a date until she gets an agreement from you. Here's what I told them. I told them to get back to her and set a date, and I would talk to you about the date. Because this is getting very, very close. What I don't want to have happen, I don't want Trump to get in the position where he thinks he's about to buy onto a policy where the financial system is going to collapse and he's going to be looked to pour more money into Ukraine. That's how he'll think about it before he gets sophisticated enough to know the detail. So anything you can do to push the Privat Bank to closure so that the IMF loan comes forward, I would respectfully suggest is critically important to your economic as well as physical security. I know it's difficult. I know Kolomoisky is a pain in the ass and a problem for everybody, but it really is critical.
Do you guys see what's going on here? We play this one first for a reason. Biden is basically threatening the Ukrainian president prior to Zelensky. Hey, man, your physical security could be at risk if you don't shut this down right away. Notice what he's talking about. He's afraid Donald Trump is going to start looking into the money going to Ukraine. That's what that whole thing is about. He's afraid of Privat Bank specifically, which is a bank alleged to be involved in the payments between Burisma and the Biden family through Hunter Biden. He doesn't want, very simply stated, he is terrified that Ukraine, Poroshenko, is going to start asking President Trump for Ukrainian money. President Trump and his team are going to start looking at the money that went over there and find what? Maybe that USAID funds were involved in the attacks on Donald Trump, the collusion hoax, and the other stuff? You get what's going on here?
They don't stand for anything humane. They don't stand for us as citizens. They don't stand for our security. They don't stand for honorable things that we need in this country. And it's very disgraceful to us as U.S. citizens that those are the people that we have here in Congress and House and Senate. It's disgusting.
This guy just yelled in the street, Trump 2024. What makes you love Donald Trump?
If you're truly a patriotic American, how could you not love Donald Trump? If you actually are somebody that does your research and your due diligence as opposed to being pushed by somebody else's propagandist talking points, how could you hate Donald Trump? He's the most popular businessman in American history. If you wanted a movie to be popular throughout all of before 2016, who has the most cameos? I find it funny that as soon as he became a Republican, he became racist. But name me that racist that won an NAACP award. I'll wait. Didn't we have peace around the world when Trump was in office? Why are we in war right now? Oh, and for that daggone bill y'all want to keep talking about the border? Well, y'all okay with the administration giving $60 billion to Ukraine so they can put 1,500 at the border? Here's something else deeper for you to think about. Didn't they leave millions and millions of guns in Afghanistan unguarded and unattended and left the country? Directly after that, Xi Jinping and Putin came down and gave them legitimacy. Well, what happens after that? Oh, didn't Biden give Putin access to a gas pipeline? And then directly after that, he went to war with Ukraine. And then was it a coincidence that one of our basketball stars got locked up in Russia and we traded her for Victor Bout? So we traded the Lord of War for Brittany Griner with a whole bunch of unattended guns in Afghanistan. That's what you voted for. That's better than Trump. You need to wake up, bro.
Why do you think it is that the Democrats and people on the left focus so much on racism?
Well, it's been embedded in us for a long time. I mean, I'm a former Democrat. You know, all my family, they're Democrats. I really think I'm the only one of my grandmom's kids and my mom's kids who are conservative and Republican. And you always feel like they're the enemy. When I went to register to vote as a teenager, and this is what they told us at the voters registration office, when they came to talk to us. They said if you're black, register as Democrat. And if you're not, register as Republican, because Republicans only want to take away the benefits from the poor. Well, I was a poor homeless kid growing up, so I was like, I'm not voting Republican. All they want to do is take away benefits that I need. So it's a mind manipulation. Like, it's like a mental slavery, because you feel like you're not going to have anything. And it's the truth.
Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. 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 Beyonce.
You make me better. You're the best thing that's what's happening here. Well, what are we doing now? Are we about to? Oh my God! The two of us together. Father and son, loving each other. Bonds of family, stronger than steel, stronger.
I didn't know he could do that without his sword.
Yeah, you can morph with pretty much anything.
You can?
Yeah, you would have known that if you read the manual.
There you have it. Not enough people read the manual.
Right.
You are my sword. I could never love somebody else the way I love you, baby. I will die for you, no question. You are my sword. You are my sword. You are my sword. You are my sword. You are my sword.
So can I ask you a question?
What do you have? Go ahead. No, that's enough. Go ahead.
Can I ask? But that wasn't my question.
The problem is you don't write the truth. So, as far as I'm concerned, I want to go to the next
Can
one.
I ask you a question about...
No, not CNN, please. Go ahead.
The White House has not responded to these
I told you. CNN is fake news. Don't talk to me. Go ahead, please.
But he says he was retaliated against, and that's why he was removed from his job. Do you have a response to that?
Okay, next question.
Mr. President, I have...
Welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this video finds you on the replay game. Welcome to Tix. So let's deal with the fallout. But yeah, that brother when that was speaking earlier, that had the locks. You'll be surprised at how many black men who don't look like they fit the bill concerning political discussions and everything. How many of them actually do? You'd actually be surprised at that. I'm sorry, let me get that right. All right, so, but what I like was why dude was dropping the facts. His friend was over there like, damn, I ain't know that. He didn't know that. That was funny. All right, so the fallout is just amazing. The fallout from all of this is so amazing. Of course, I knew that Leave It. Caroline Leavitt, that she was going to have a field day with this morning, and it looks like she did. Let's find out exactly what happened. I'm not going to hold y'all up, but I might wind up. I wanted to get into the hearings regarding the sanctuary cities, because it looked like they might be pressing charges, most likely on Brandon Johnson. We'll see that moron. But we'll get into it. But I will say that I am very disgusted about some of the coverages and words that came out, especially concerning the little black boy. Was he like 12? Like I saw a video where he was dressed as a cop, and of course all the black females in his neighborhood were teasing him, harassing him, and everything. Because he was the corny kid, right? And then you had some white woman on MSNBC. Not giving a damn, trying to say that the kid was a photo op. Like, no. Like, you know what? Help me understand something, black folks. You sit up here and you beg and plead and cry for white folks to acknowledge you. And then when they do, you say that, oh, you're not doing it right. Like, well, how do you want it to be done? Here you have a kid who survived brain cancer. He said he had several surgeries that transformed his personality every single time. This is what he wants to do for a living. You always crying about the police this, the police that, and that you need more black police officers. So now here you have a kid that wants to be a police officer, and this is like, if he unfortunately passes away tomorrow, this will be undoubtedly, no matter, even if he winds up becoming a police officer, if he winds up guarding the next president in 40 years or whatever, that moment that we saw yesterday will be, beyond the shadow of a doubt, the greatest moment of his life ever. Nothing will top that. Not even if he married his dream wife, who cooked and cleaned and gave him sloppy toppy whenever the wind blew, with great kids and everything. Nothing will top that. Nothing will top that. You want to call it a photo op? Okay, let's call it a photo op. But who came out on top and who came out looking like treasonous snakes? Donald Trump played them like fools. You have so much hatred in your heart. Even you, little Miss Ratchet Jasmine Crockett, Aisha Presley, AOC, and all you other little fake little DEI, white supremacy pushing little goofballs. Y'all don't give a damn about these illegal criminals killing American citizens, raping and murdering little girls. You don't give a damn about that. You morons literally voted to keep men, biological men, in women's sports when the women that told you 1,000 freaking times a day they don't want them in there. They're not even competing anymore. They see a boy on the field, they forfeit the match. But you just gonna keep trying to force it. Why? It's I mean, at this point, you're talking, to me, it looks like treason. At this point, you're talking about treason. It's not a matter of free speech. It's a matter of patriotism. And right now, it's looking like treason. It's 100% looking like treason. This is why I won't necessarily say fear, but I worry about Trump and Vance making it to 2028. Because they've already tried a couple of times. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they tried again. Because these people are just that psychotic and deranged. Understand, we live here. We live here. Why do you want to see where you live fail? This is not the hood, where it's okay for trash to be everywhere and broken windows and boarded up businesses and everything. That's not okay. It's not okay to live in poverty. Yes, it's going to get worse before it gets better. We've been saying that for the longest. But you've heard what this man said. It's going to get better. Just give it a minute. Why do you think he's trying to give these government employees 7 month buyout packages? Here, probably by the time all of this money run out, you should have another job anyway. You should have another job anyway. You can't get a job in 7 months? He just gave the United Auto Workers a month to get their stuff together to be able to move back to the U.S. without paying tariffs. Hurry up. Now's the chance for y'all to hurry up, get y'all cars, get your inventory that you already have going on. Now's your chance to move it to a private lot, wherever you're going to have a new factory at. Now to get your stuff there. Get your factories together and then go back to reproducing cars. And because they're American made, you don't have to worry about having the car rates being what they are, $20, $30, $40, $50, $60,000 for a new car, because you don't have to worry about the tariffs. All your goods and services will be made here. It'll drop the rates of the cars. The prices of the cars. That's what I was like, shoot, how about I might think about buying me a new car? You know what I'm saying? I mean, everything works out in the end. It will work out. You just have to be patient and let the plan happen. But how dare you sit up there and come at that little black boy like that? Whether he's a prop or not, how can you not look at that and be like, yeah, like, all right, go ahead, little bro. You know, go ahead, little bro. Prop or not, you got to give him his props. Surviving brain cancer surgeries. But you rather sit there, you so pro-black and want to talk about reparations and telling black people they don't need $5,000 of their own money, but you so racist that you can't even show any type of love or appreciation for a little black boy that you claim you know. Oh, well, then again, let's be honest. We all know that black women don't protect black boys. So I guess she was on brand, her and Aisha Presley or whatever. I mean, they were pretty much on brand with how black women behave towards black men. So whatever. I guess if he was a felon getting out of jail, having a welcome home party, oh, they'd probably be all over him. But whatever. Whatever. What's up, Lewis? Who's going to reject reparations? I'm not. Look, I don't even know. Show me somebody that's going to turn down the $5,000 check. I don't even know millionaires that have turned down the $5,000 check. The hell out of here. What type of economic ignorance is that? And that's what I was saying. Black people, we're financial illiteracy is our biggest problem. You have those of us who know how to steal some money. We know how to scam some money. We know how to tell people to hit the Cash App 3 times in a row, several times in a Instagram live. Can't even do that now. You got they done took all that away from him. Yeah, you good for that. You good for hustling, but don't know how to live outside of the hustle. Any rate, all right. That's my rant. Let's get to this.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Caroline.
How are we? I apologize for my tardiness. It's quite the newsy day, and I was with the president talking about that news, so I look forward to taking your questions on it. But first,
let's go.
I want to talk about President Trump's historic and incredible speech last night. The American people and the entire world watched President Trump powerfully lay out how he's renewing the American dream in a record-breaking
no, I haven't seen
joint
this
address
yet.
to
I haven't
Congress.
seen any of these videos
And Americans loved what they heard. According to a CBS YouGov survey, an overwhelming 76% of those watching approved of President Trump's speech last night. The president spoke about how he's taken more than 400 executive actions on his key promises. The expectations were high, and President Trump is exceeding them. According to brand new polling from the Daily Mail, President Trump has never been more popular as his approval ratings are reaching historic highs. More Americans believe America is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. Everyday Americans love this president because he tells it like it is, no matter what, and he did that last night. President Trump level set with the American people on the economy and exposed how badly Joe Biden screwed it up by causing the worst inflation crisis in 4 decades. President Trump was honest about where we are while making clear that help is on the way. As the president declared last night, he will make America affordable again. Last night, you also saw who motivates the president to work so hard. Everyday Americans who President Trump shined a spotlight on last night in his speech. From Mark Fogel, who President Trump was finally able to reunite with his family and his beautiful 95-year-old mother after being detained in Russia, to Peyton McNabb, whose heart-wrenching story motivated President Trump to end men in women's sports, and to Allison and Lauren Phillips, the mother and daughter and sister of Laken Riley, who President Trump honored by signing the Laken Riley Act to ensure her name will live on forever.
You stupid.
In other amazing and surprise moments, President Trump honored the life of Jocelyn Nungare, who was brutally murdered by illegal alien gang members. He ensured Jocelyn will never be forgotten by renaming a national wildlife refuge in her home state of Texas to honor her life. And in one of the greatest surprise moments of the night, DJ Daniel, an incredible 13-year-old boy who is beating brain cancer, saw his dreams fulfilled by President Trump when he was made an honorary Secret Service agent. And finally, after nearly 4 years, President Trump delivered justice for the families of the 13 American heroes who were killed at Abbey Gate and the Biden botched Afghanistan withdrawal, which was one of the worst humiliations in the history of our country. President Trump announced that we have detained Mohammed Sharifullah, the monster who was responsible for that horrific attack, and he was delivered to Dulles Airfield earlier this morning.
No hell.
On his first day in office, President Trump's national security team across the federal government prioritized intelligence gathering to locate this evil individual. President Trump's team shared intelligence with regional partners such as Pakistan, who helped identify this monster in the borderland area late last month. Mohammed confessed to his crimes related to Abbeygate and other attacks in Russia and Iran as well to the Pakistanis. And U.S. law enforcement officers traveled to Pakistan over the weekend, where he again confessed his crimes to the FBI. As President Trump said last night, this killer will now face the swift sword of American justice for these atrocities right here on United States soil. Joe Biden was responsible for this botched withdrawal, and he had 3 years to find this evil terrorist, and he didn't even try to get the job done. But President Trump campaigned on behalf of and grew very close to the Gold Star families. He promised them accountability, and last night, he kept his promise. He spoke to those Gold Star families yesterday, ahead of his speech, in an incredibly heartwarming call to share this incredible news. And as President Trump asked in his speech last night, how could anyone possibly be opposed to any of this action that he is taking? Well, apparently, the modern-day Democrat Party could. The behavior of Democrats last night was completely disgraceful and demonstrated how severely out of touch they are with the American public. It was the most shameful moment in the history of presidential addresses in that beautiful chamber. And what was supposed to be a unifying moment for our country, Democrat members of Congress instead screamed at the President of the United States, who was just overwhelmingly reelected by their constituents, walked out of the chamber, and worst of all, they disrespected the American people. Democrats didn't stand to keep men out of women's sports. They couldn't even clap for a girl who got her head smashed in by a man on a volleyball court. Democrats didn't stand for an innocent and beautiful child who is surviving brain cancer. They opposed eliminating taxes on tips and Social Security. They didn't stand in favor of cutting taxes for hardworking Americans. They couldn't even clap for 2 mothers whose daughters were killed by illegal aliens. One of the only things that could get Democrats off their feet last night was cheering for Ukraine, not for America. Last night was a very clarifying moment for our country. The Democrats exposed themselves as the party of insanity and hate. The party that wants to put America last. They've allowed their Trump derangement syndrome to stop them from celebrating America and our people. And we will not allow them to forget that. And it's not just the Democrat Party. The mainstream media still doesn't get it. Last night, MSNBC's Nicole Wallace disgustingly looped in a 13-year-old boy with brain cancer into an attack on the president over January 6th. And CNN's first chyron out of the speech called it divisive. President Trump wasn't divisive. The Democrats.
What she said, for those that don't know, what this little goofy white chick said over at MSNBC was talking about she hopes and prays that this little 13-year-old boy doesn't have to grow up and fight insurrectionists at another Donald Trump election. Like, he can't be elected again. Like, hopefully he won't go home and commit self-deletion because of the trauma of having to defend the Capitol. Like, what is you talking about? Like, this kid, she was talking like the kid is like, come Monday morning, he's going to be patrolling the Capitol building. Like, shut up. Like, I swear to God, man, that woman, she disgraced herself, but you know, they always do that. They can't help but disgrace themselves. But that's what she said. She said something very silly like that.
Nicole Wallace disgustingly looped in a 13-year-old boy with brain cancer into an attack on the president over January 6th. And CNN's first chyron out of the speech called it divisive. President Trump wasn't divisive. The Democrats were. And CNN was proven wrong by their own viewers, 69% of whom, in a post-speech poll, said they had a positive reaction to the president's speech. It's sad and frankly pathetic that Democrats and liberals in the legacy media continue to allow their hatred for the president to override their love for our country. But nevertheless, the president will continue to unify this nation through policies that are grounded in common sense and that uplift all Americans. We have an individual in our new media seat today, Mary Margaret Olahan, who is the Daily Wire's first ever White House correspondent. Congratulations, Mary Margaret. The Daily Wire was founded 10 years ago by Ben Shapiro. The Daily Wire now has over 1 million paid subscribers, a monthly network reach of 138 million, and has evolved into a leading conservative multimedia giant. They are now the 5th largest podcast network in the world and home to some of the top-ranked shows. With that, I will take your questions, and Mary Margaret, why don't you kick us off?
Thank you so much, Caroline. It's great to be here.
Thanks.
So I had 2 questions, if that's okay. The first
Sure.
on last night and the second on Maine. You talked about behavior from Democrat lawmakers, a lot of disruptions, and I just wanted to kind of go back to that. We saw Democrat lawmakers not stand for Laken Riley, for Peyton McNabb, for the son of a slain police officer and 13-year-old cancer survivor. What are the optics of that nationally, just in terms of not just the people who were in the room last night, but across the nation? And also, was President Trump expecting this type of behavior when he was crafting his speech?
So I gave a quote to one of the media outlets in this room yesterday that Democrats behaving like children would be the least surprising thing of the night. And unfortunately, that quote did turn out to be true. I think the president and everyone, frankly, was surprised by the Democrats refusing to stand for not the president's policies, because frankly, we expected that, but for the everyday Americans who President Trump was shining a light on their stories. Mark Fogel, for instance, an American school teacher who was detained by the Russians. President Trump freed him. If Joe Biden had done that, they all would have been on their feet. But because of it came from President Trump, they weren't. So we think it's very sad, but we're very proud of the president today. And the American people are the people that this president cares about most. And the reviews are in, and everybody loved his speech.
Thank you. And then on Maine, we know that the governor of Maine has really pushed back against the president's executive order saying that boys should not be in girls' sports. I spoke with a lawmaker from Maine this morning who told me she'd been censured by state lawmakers for calling a man and speaking up on this. What is the next move for the White House in this battle to protect the integrity of women's sports?
Yeah, well, the Department of Education has sued the state of Maine. As you know, there's ongoing litigation. The president has made a commitment to ensure that states are being held accountable if they continue to allow men and women's sports, which he believes is an egregious violation of taxpayer dollars. And so that fight continues, and the president won't back down. Again, this is a common sense policy. 80% of the American people, including more than 60% of Democrats, do not want men in women's sports. So the president will stand by this commitment. Thank you. Gabe, good to see you in here.
Good to see you, Carol.
Insane.
A couple questions. One, can you confirm that President held talks with the big 3 automakers today, speaking about potentially delaying tariffs?
I can confirm, and I'm glad that you asked, because the president sent me out here with a statement directly from him on this. I saw it was reported earlier today by Bloomberg News, and he wanted me to share this with all of you. We spoke with the big 3 auto dealers. We are going to give a 1-month exemption on any autos coming through USMCA. Reciprocal tariffs will still go into effect on April 2nd, but at the request of the companies associated with USMCA, the president is giving them an exemption for 1 month so they are not at an economic disadvantage. So the 3 companies that he spoke to are Stellantis, Ford, and General Motors. They requested the call, they made the ask, and the president is happy to do it. It's a 1-month exemption.
And the president just posted on social media that he has spoken with Prime Minister Trudeau. He says he's not satisfied with what the Prime Minister has said when it comes to fentanyl, but less than 1%, as you know, less than 1% of the fentanyl seized last year was in the northern border. What else is too much?
Well, the president did just put out a statement on his call with the governor, Justin Trudeau, as he calls him, of Canada. And he said that he was not pleased, as you said. He said it's not good enough. He told Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that directly. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner, as the president said, but he's not going to stop standing up for the American people. And to answer your question directly, when it comes to fentanyl, for the last 4 years, unfortunately, our neighbors to the north and the south, Canada and Mexico, respectively, have allowed America to be a dumping ground not just for illegal aliens, but for illegal, poisonous, deadly fentanyl, which is now the #1 killer of young people in this country aged 18 to 34. Through the northern border in Canada, in last fiscal year alone, there was enough fentanyl seized to kill 4.8 billion people. And that number is up 2,050% from 2023, the year before. So there's been more than a 2,000% increase in illegal fentanyl seizure at the northern border. Why? Because Canada is allowing that fentanyl to come to the United States. The president sees these numbers. He thinks about the lives that are lost. And everybody in this room, I'm sure, everybody watching at home, everybody across the country knows someone in our lives who has been killed at the hands of this deadly poison. There needs to be repercussions for that. The president feels very strongly about it.
Caroline, respectfully, it's just 43 pounds that were found last year. That's less than a carry-on suitcase. Is that a lot of fentanyl compared to, say, Mexico? The vast majority of the fentanyl is brought in through Mexico, not Canada. So what else does Canada need to do?
Well, I just told you, last year alone, there was a 2,000% increase in illegal fentanyl. You're asking me for what the president's justification is for these tariffs. It's not up to you. You're not the president, Gabe. And frankly, I think it's a little bit disrespectful to the families in this country who have lost loved ones at the hands of this deadly poison. If you talk to them, and this president has, they are grateful that they finally have a president who is standing up to both Canada and Mexico, and most importantly, to China as well. The president added an additional 10% tariff on China because this deadly poison is being produced in that country. It's being distributed through our neighbors, and there needs to be consequences for that, period.
This is what killed me when reporters ask stupid questions like that. Understand that the president, the White House, people with these security clearances that work there in that building that are not reporters, they get full folders. They get full details of everything that goes on. So yes, what he said, well, they only caught a suitcase worth of fentanyl. I mean, even though that's too much, you know, that's like when the woman out in Aurora, or the woman who was talking about Aurora, where they only took over a couple of apartment complexes. Like, a couple is a couple too many. But what she's not telling you, or what they're not going to tell you, is that specific dealers get their portion of the drugs of fentanyl from certain people who smuggle them through the northern border. So just because you caught one suitcase doesn't mean, well, this is all that's coming through, you moron. When you wind up catching these dealers and whatnot, and then they wind up snitching, you know, because I mean, you put a Popeyes 2-piece and a biscuit and a large Coke in front of a dude. Oh, he's snitching. Yeah, and Gary, he came and I met him behind the Burger King on 55th, you know. So they wind up tracking him. They arrest him. They track him. They arrest everybody that's connected. And then it goes right up the ladder. And it's like, oh, okay, so your shipment came through Canada, where this guy's shipment came through from Mexico. They're not about to give you all of those itty bitty details. You want those details? Go talk to your local law enforcement. But Jesus Christ, man, stop acting stupid.
Period. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. If the U.S. has a longstanding policy that we do not negotiate with terrorists, then why is the U.S. now negotiating directly and for the first time ever with Hamas?
Well, when it comes to the negotiations that you're referring to, first of all, the special envoy who's engaged in those negotiations does have the authority to talk to anyone. Israel was consulted on this matter. And look, dialogue and talking to people around the world to do what's in the best interest of the American people is something that the president has proven is what he believes is good faith effort to do what's right for the American people.
Is it just about the hostages? Or are they also talking about the president's plan to take over Gaza?
These are ongoing talks and discussions. I'm not going to detail them here. There are American lives at stake. I would defer you to the Department of State for further details, but I'm not going to get into those talks here at this podium.
We know that some officials here were miffed that Zelensky showed up last week without a suit for his meeting in the Oval Office. But Elon Musk never wears a suit.
He did last night.
So what is the dress code?
Well, Elon Musk wore a suit last night. I'm sure you saw it.
He's spooked by the
It looked.
Zelensky getting kicked out?
No, I don't think so. I'm just pointing out that he did wear a suit last night, and I think the president liked that very much, and he looked great. Speaking of the president, he just passed me a note while I'm standing here. He wanted me to hold this up. This is the poll that I cited, the CBS YouGov poll that shows that 76% of those who watched the president's speech last night approved of his speech. And so it goes to my earlier point that I made in my monologue about how incredibly sad it is that we have a modern day Democrat Party who is so severely out of touch with the American public. This is a great poll. The ultimate poll, though, came on November 5th when the president won by an overwhelming margin that he spoke about last night. Democrats weren't happy to hear that either.
From what I understand, the reason why Elon doesn't wear a suit is because he's literally sleeping there at the White House, on the floor, the couches or whatever in the Doge offices, to make sure that all of this stuff gets done. Just like he does at Tesla, just like he did at Twitter. Like if he's working on a project, he's always on site, always there. He sleeps there. So yeah, he's walking around in a t-shirt. I mean, he's wearing the sports coat or whatever, but he's in there. He's just in there. He's just working. He's working. It's like a casual Friday for him. But yeah, like you saw last night, he put on a suit. He put on the suit. Like, dude, put on a suit. What's up? Like, we're addressing Congress. Put on a suit. Just like he should have wore a suit when he held his first cabinet meeting. Elon should have wore a suit. Let's just be honest. But we look at it as that's just Elon being Elon. Elon wasn't coming to beg for billions of dollars, to fight a quote unquote war for his country. It's a different scenario there. So it's whatever. It's nitpicky BS.
Thank you, Caroline. Back on tariffs, last night President Trump said there will be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. Can you put a dollar figure amount on how much the average American family should expect to pay as this disturbance? And why should Americans be okay with that when so many are already struggling to pay the bills?
Well, first of all, last night, the president told the truth. And
wait, hold on. First and foremost, what do you mean Americans are struggling? What do y'all mean? Jeffrey Crockett said y'all don't need $5,000 of your own money back. And that if y'all don't never get that money, don't come crying to me. Nobody's going to come crying to you. You're a nobody. You're a loser. But, we already know where the Democrats sit. I'm just poking fun, but
he was realistic and he level set with the American people. And I think, frankly, it's very refreshing. And everybody in this room should be very grateful that we have a president who tells the truth about the reality of the economic situation that we are in. Unlike the previous president who lied to everybody's faces, saying inflation was transitory, saying it was under control, saying that the border was secure, when none of that was true. So the president is being frank and honest. And the American people elected this president to have monumental reform and change, including rebuilding our manufacturing base in this country, standing up to foreign nations who have been ripping off our country for decades. And that requires a little bit of disruption. That requires a lot of effort and work that this president is focused on doing. With that said, as the president said last night, his administration is wholeheartedly committed, of course, to ending the inflation nightmare caused by the Biden administration. Look at the deregulation efforts. Look at the president's push last night in his speech for Congress to pass tax cuts, to end taxes on Social Security and overtime pay for hardworking Americans, end taxes on tips. We need Congress to get that done because that's going to put more money back into the pockets of the American people. And I didn't even mention energy. Look at the president's approach and focus on unleashing the might of our energy industry. We know that's the #1 driver of inflation. He's been slashing back a lot of the burdensome regulation from the previous administration to unleash our energy industry here at home, which will drive down costs. He said he is committed to making America affordable again. He did it in his first term and
Because
Americans
they only
can
care
trust him
about
to do it again.
themselves. They don't care
President Trump has
about
made
us.
clear, Caroline, that he loves tariffs, but the stock market does not. How does he factor that into his decision
What's up,
making?
Simeon?
Well, the president does love tariffs. He said it's one of his favorite words of the English dictionary. And he believes in tariffs because they'll ultimately make America rich again. They're going to raise revenue. They're going to help us pay down our debt. Most importantly, they're going to bring American jobs here back home. So I think for folks on Wall Street who may be concerned, look at what this president did for you in his first term. Wall Street boomed, stock market boomed. The president expects that to happen again. But most importantly, Main Street is going to boom. And that's why the president has this whole of government economic approach, which includes tax cuts, tariffs, regulation cuts, and an energy industry that will bring down costs for American consumers. Sure, Monica.
Thank you, Caroline. You mentioned not one Democrat senator voted to protect women's sports from males. Not one Democrat congressman or congresswoman stood to applaud or support protecting women's space and sports at the president's joint session to Congress last night, as you articulately mentioned at the beginning. So I'm wondering, what message is that sending to not only young women who are competing in these sports across the country, but also to the parents of these young girls?
Yeah. I think the message that Americans should take away from last night is that they have a president in the Oval Office who is committed to doing what's right for them, especially women and girls across the country. And I think it's very ironic, thank you for bringing up the point about women, that Democrat women were wearing pink to support our fellow females, yet they couldn't stand, again, for a young woman who was almost killed and severely injured by a man on the volleyball court. They couldn't stand for the mothers of two beautiful young women whose lives were taken tragically at the hands of illegal people. So you can't say you're the party of women and then support men and women's sports and not stand up for basic law and order and immigration reform that will protect women in this country. That's what President Trump is doing. He's the president for women.
Whether they like it or not.
So speaking of tariffs, China said yesterday that they're ready for any kind of war with the U.S. Because of these tariffs that have been placed on them. And a Chinese spokesperson also said that the tariffs would not lead to a resolution of U.S. concerns about fentanyl originating in China. Can you speak to how the administration is planning on responding to that?
Well, I think Secretary Hegseth has responded to that this morning. He said that America will always be prepared to defend itself, especially under the leadership of this president in the Oval Office. And that certainly remains true. Again, when it comes to tariffs, the president has been very tough on China, not just now with 20% and more with the reciprocal tariffs that will hit on April 2nd. But look at what he did in his first term. There were billions of dollars worth of tariffs that he implemented on China. And it's quite telling that the previous administration did not rescind those tariffs because they realized the value that they had in not only deterring China, but also raising revenue here in the United States.
And also putting in their pockets
Just a quick
10% to the big guy.
Tariffs. The president mentioned a little disturbance during his remarks yesterday. The CEO of Target says that consumers will likely see prices go up on everything from strawberries to bananas to avocados. How long should Americans expect to pay higher prices? Are we talking a week, a couple of days, a few months?
Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can assure the American people is that this president and this administration is doing everything they can. And I would remind you and everybody else in this room that it's because of the previous administration's economic policies that Americans were left with record high inflation. Inflation throughout Joe Biden's entire 48 months in office was at or above 3%. It hit record highs, as you know. And there's a whole list of what the Biden economic disaster this president was left to clean up. It's been a month, but he's working hard every single day to do just that.
Follow up on the carve out. Sorry to cut you off there. The U.S. imported $43 million worth of eggs from Canada. I know you mentioned some of the exemptions when it comes to automakers. Will there be any other carve-outs, including for eggs? We know prices are soaring for Americans.
The president is open to hearing about additional exemptions. He always has open dialogue, and he'll always do, what's right, what he believes is right for the American people. But again, as for the egg crisis in this country, the president is wholeheartedly committed to ensuring we're increasing our egg supply, and we're also bringing down cost. And Secretary Rollins has been all over this issue. She comes from an agricultural background and family. That's why she's leading that very important department. She wrote an amazing op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. She's been all over the media talking about her plan. She has a real plan. The president endorses it. And he even, gave her an off-the-prompter shout out last night to say, Brooke, I'm counting on you. It's an important issue. And this White House is working with Secretary of Agriculture every single day to address this issue. Sure.
Right. You have to get back to more in-state manufacturing,
Americans
in-country
or
manufacturing.
victims. They stood for war and clapped for war and clapped for 5 more years of war.
Yeah, the president addressed that last night, I think, when he called out Senator Elizabeth Warren and said that, as I said in my opening speech, very telling that the Democrats refused to clap for American people and American interests and American priorities, but they did clap for the country of Ukraine, which, by the way, the president's working very hard to end that war. So Democrats should be applauding him for actually doing something about it.
Follow up on that if I can. You've spoken recently about how what happened in the Oval Office last week gave Americans an inside look into behind-the-scenes discussions with Zelensky. Is this how he treated Joe Biden and just treated him disrespectfully and received billions of dollars?
Well, it's a very interesting question. I don't know if anybody in here asked my predecessor who stood at this podium about that, but there was a report from NBC News that President Biden also got increasingly frustrated with President Zelensky when he was handing out blank checks and President Zelensky kept asking for more. Joe Biden was quite frustrated with that. So again, as I've said repeatedly, Friday revealed the frustrations that this administration has had in closed-door negotiations with the Ukrainians. However, President Zelensky did put out a statement yesterday, which we believe is a positive step forward. And National Security Advisor Mike Waltz has been talking to his Ukrainian counterparts. And so we're in the midst of this, and we'll see what happens next. Caitlin.
Thanks, Caroline. I have 2 questions. One on the reprieve that is being granted to these 3 automakers for 1 month on the tariffs on Canada and Mexico. How did the president settle on 1 month?
The reciprocal tariffs will go into effect on April 2nd, and he feels strongly about that no matter what, no exemption. So that's where the 1 month comes from.
Does he expect them to be able to shift production within a month?
He told them that they should get on it, start investing, start moving, shift production here to the United States of America, where they will pay no tariff. That's the ultimate goal.
Move those cars.
The conversations between the White House and the Ukrainians and the letter that President Trump revealed last night that he got from President Zelensky. Director Ratcliffe said today that the president has paused also intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Is that temporary or is that permanent?
I believe what the National Security Council told me in regards to that was that they paused or they are reconsidering the funding for Ukraine, as you saw, the pause on the funding. As for intelligence matters, I would refer you to either the National Security Council or the CIA as well.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Reinstating the military aid going to Ukraine, which they paused.
Again, it's a pause for a review.
Follow up on that.
Sure.
The president read parts of the letter that he received last night from President Zelensky. Can you give us a sense of when President Trump now plans to sign that minerals deal after receiving that letter?
Those talks are happening as we speak. I just saw the National Security Advisor. He's working very hard on it. I believe he was going into the Oval Office to give the president an update on where this stands. But again, the president is committed to a peace deal. He wants to see this war end. And I think that President Zelensky's message, which he also shared on X as well, is a positive sign in the right direction.
The president also said that the United States was reclaiming the Panama Canal. The president of Panama this morning, or at some point today, said that President Trump was lying. Wanted to get your response to that. And also curious if the president had a reason for not specifically mentioning BlackRock last night when he was praising the company that is buying canals or ports around the Panama.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Panama has seen what's going on with their own canal, but as you just mentioned, BlackRock is now interested in investing and taking over the 2 ends of the port, which is very important because the president was very vocal several weeks ago about the need to ensure that China is not controlling the Panama Canal. This is a very important place for the United States of America. We also saw that the Panama Canal lifted fees on our U.S. naval ships that are going in and out of the canal. That's a win for the United States of America. And the president will continue to ensure that the Chinese government, the CCP, cannot be infiltrated in the Western Hemisphere and certainly not in the Panama Canal, which is a very important place for our country. Dasha.
The president continues to call the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, Governor of Canada. I'm curious what he means by that, and if there are any plans that are moving forward with trying to make Canada the 51st state. And I have a follow-up on the economy as well.
Sure. Well, the president put that in his True Social account, or his True Social post earlier today. He feels strongly that it would be very beneficial for the Canadian people to be the 51st state of the United States. They wouldn't be paying for these tariffs. They'd have much lower taxes if they were part of our great country.
All right. So just a quick little look at BlackRock stock. This is BlackRock. These are the people who almost destroyed this country. So in 5 days, their stock has risen. Let's see, ever since yesterday, as you can see, people have started investing in their company. All right, because if you look at the 1 day, this is, within the past, let's see here. What day is this? I can't really see. Oh, yeah, this is today. As you can see, their stock is like climbing, steady climbing. Last month, they weren't doing too well. You can see they were dropping, but on the 27th, they shot up. That was the day before Trump made the announcement about investing in business, certain companies. Then, of course, as you can see, after the 28th, they kind of shot down, but now they're shooting back up. All right, they're shooting back up. So it's like, do you invest in BlackRock now that they're looking to buy the Panama Canal? I mean, they have 11.5 trillion in assets under management as of 2024. And of course, as we know, BlackRock is not a friend to the United States. You see, they made the bulk of their money, right around 2019, 2020. Especially, let's see, December 4th, August 24th, September, November 6th. But you see, they skyrocketed, then they dropped, and they've been on a slow climb ever since. Because a lot of the companies now, let's see, when did it really take off for them? November, I'm trying to get right in that corner. October 27th is when they really started taking off and climbing back up that hill, because the companies that they invested in, that they were crashing out. But do understand, these companies that they were crashing out, they have these 99-year loans with interest. So now they're starting to pay back the loans. The companies are starting to make money again, especially after they killed the DEI programs. So that's why you see this steady uptick since what was this again? Since October 7, 2023. Yeah, but definitely April 26. Yeah, you see this uptick. Companies were starting to stop. They were starting to stop. I think they had a feeling. I think they knew what was up. I just wanted to get that out there. What you say? Like, I see more than one black reporter in the pool. That's better than Biden did with April Ryan or the African man they'd argue with. Yeah, because they Carrie whatever, she stopped calling on him, and he cursed her out one time. He cursed her out.
The economy, you and I traveled the country during the campaign. This is an issue that so many voters decided to cast their ballots on, and they voted for President Trump. He has started to have that realistic conversation with the American people, that disturbance comment last night. But I'm curious if you can be real with Americans right now as all of these factors are playing out. are things potentially going to get worse before they get better?
Look, I've now been asked and answered this same question just given to me in different verbiage of 3 different times, and I will answer it again in an effort of transparency to the American people, because this is an important issue and the American people, this president understands that it is. And again, that's why in his joint address to Congress last night, he addressed this issue with a realistic and honest approach. He talked about what this administration is doing to unleash American energy and to make America affordable again. And this administration is wholeheartedly committed to doing it. And I would remind the American public that the first term record of this president speaks volumes. That's why they reelected him, because they know that he can fix our broken economy. And it's very, very broken from the previous administration. Stephen.
I've got 2 questions, one on press access, the other on fentanyl and tariffs.
Sure.
On press access, your predecessor, Karine Jean-Pierre, who presided over many novel press access restrictions, criticized the recent changes to the press pool made by your office. She said in an interview, quote, "What we're looking at is what North Korea is doing." What's your response to that? And can you say anything to allay concerns that unfavorable coverage will be punished in this new press pool system?
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie. Many people in this room knew it was a lie. Many of you were admonished for asking questions about that truth. So when it comes to truth and transparency, this administration, this White House is setting the example. This president is taking far more questions than his predecessor, Joe Biden, did on a daily basis, and that will continue.
And on fentanyl and tariffs, fentanyl produced largely in China has killed 334,000 Americans over 5 years. According to CDC data, that's about 1 in every 1,000 Americans. President Trump has cited this for applying new tariffs to Canada, Mexico, and China. But in addition to China's talk about being ready for any kind of war, they said yesterday, the foreign ministry said that, quote, "The fentanyl issue is a flimsy excuse to raise U.S. tariffs," and, quote, "U.S., not anyone else, is responsible for the fentanyl crisis." So what's the response to China that the talk of fentanyl is just an excuse for tariffs? And what does that say about the resolution?
Well, of course, the country that is getting very rich off of distributing this deadly poison to American citizens is going to say that. Again, the president knows where the American people stand on this issue. Fentanyl overdoses. Dasha brought up all of us campaigning all across the country. They talked about inflation. They also talked about the border, the illegal immigrants that we're pouring through, but also these deadly drugs. And again, the president keeps in mind those families every single day when he is making these tough decisions. But it's a necessary decision, and he's no longer going to allow the United States of America to be a dumping ground for illegal immigrants and for illegal drugs that are killing our nation's people. This is the #1 leading cause of death in our country, and there needs to be action taken to ensure that cannot continue. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Caroline.
It wasn't bad. What I've noticed with we got another video, but what I've noticed with Carolyn, what they have her do, she goes out and dispels everything that the Democrats are saying. She reiterates what Trump is saying and dispels Democratic BS. And she makes them look foolish because they make themselves look foolish. I mean, it's like when Joe Biden said that people who supported Trump were human garbage, and then the next morning Trump rolled out with the garbage truck. You know, it's like everything you say, I turn it against you. I make you look foolish with it. And it works. The American people eat it up. You see his approval ratings. And speaking of the Democrats, let's see what they had to say. Let's laugh at these morons. What is this? What is this?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Oh, and by the way, if y'all noticed, Nancy Pelosi was in the house. I thought she was over in England, wouldn't be able to travel for 6 to 9 months because of hip surgery. Suddenly now she in the house just that quick of hip surgery. She caught flight. She literally flew on the flight, got in the wheelchair, rode her way, had a cane. I guess she walked after hip surgery. Wow. Amazing how that worked out, huh? All right, let's get to Timu Obama.
To begin with, it is with a heavy heart that we gather here today, having received the news that our dear colleague and a tremendous public servant, the Honorable Sylvester Turner, passed away tragically and unexpectedly. He was a powerful, profound, principled public servant who was beloved in his hometown of Houston, served his hometown in the state legislature as mayor, and over the last few months as a member of Congress. And he was a champion for all that we stand here today to protect. So I thought it appropriate that we just begin with a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Last night, Donald Trump delivered one of the most divisive speeches made by a president in American history.
I don't know.
Republicans aren't trying to bring the country together. They are tearing us apart. Republicans aren't trying to move America forward. They want to turn back the clock.
Yes.
Republicans
yes.
aren't interested in improving the economy.
They're not.
Or making life better.
They're not.
For everyday Americans.
How was that?
They want to enact the largest cut to Medicaid in American history and are hurting our veterans.
So we should keep
far-right extremists,
dead people on Medicaid?
Are desperately trying to jam their reckless budget down the throats of the American people.
What's the
reckless? They want us to step back. House Democrats will continue to fight back.
Fight back.
We're going to fight back.
Advancement?
In the Congress, in the courts, in the community, in urban America, in rural America, suburban America, small town America, the heartland of America. We're going to push back aggressively against Donald Trump, his administration, and the extreme MAGA Republican agenda.
Why?
Until we can end this national nightmare and bring the American dream to life for every single person in this country.
Anybody have any idea what this silly little Negro is talking about? What is he talking about? What is it? You know what? What is your economic plan, Hakeem Jeffries? Can we hear that? What is your economic plan? Because you know we have to pay down this $36 trillion debt, or else we're all in breadlines, right? So what is your plan? Do you even have one? Do you even know what you're having for dinner tonight?
That's our North Star, and it will continue to be our focus. And we must always stand up for our veterans.
Oh, God.
Those who have
about the veterans
worn the uniform to protect and serve.
What about them?
Our great country.
What about them?
They've been there for us, sacrificed for us, shown courage and extraordinary bravery for us. We should always
out in the street.
Stand with them. Thousands of veterans across the country have been hurt by the extreme actions of Donald Trump, the Trump administration, Elon Musk, and MAGA.
Like who?
Republicans. That's unacceptable. It's unconscionable. It's un-American. And there are several veterans here today to tell their stories to the American people about what is happening and the fact that veterans all across this great country are being harmed. Our promise to veterans in this country is that we will always stand with you. We will love and cherish you, and we will fight to make sure that every single veteran in this country is treated with the dignity and respect that you deserve.
My father is treated with dignity and respect.
Now,
in fact, they wound up getting him a physical therapist.
Honor to yield to our distinguished whip, Catherine Clark.
So let's hear what some veterans have.
Thank you, leader. We heard a lot of things in the 100-minute presidential address last night. Not one thing about helping veterans. 100 minutes, not one thing about helping our veterans.
So the veterans.
Instead, we heard the double.
So the veterans is the hill that they're choosing to die on. Even though we already heard Donald Trump when he first took office, he said, hey, look. As a matter of fact, before he took office, he said, hey, look, I'm going to get these veterans off the streets if they so choose to come off the streets, because those of us who know about working with the homeless is no different than working with a drug addict or an abuse victim, all right, or an alcoholic. You can lead a horse to water, but it's up to the horse whether they want to drink it or not. You have a lot of people who you can give them a nice house and everything. They would rather be homeless. They would rather be homeless. They would feel confined in a house. They wouldn't know what to do with themselves. It's just like somebody that's been in prison for 20 years, they'll pretty much kind of confine themselves to their room because they're not used to being free. You even see that with caged animals that's been in a zoo. You can take them out in the wild and open the cage, and they'll feel more comfortable sleeping in the cage at night. If you open it up and they ran out and you left the cage sitting there, they would come back and sleep in that cage. They would feel more comfortable in that cage because they've been conditioned like that.
Down on the same corrupt agenda, help the rich get richer. And to pay for tax cuts for the richest man on earth, the GOP is throwing our veterans under the bus.
How?
Raising their prices, cutting their health care, destroying their livelihoods. 6 weeks into this administration,
why is he lying?
They have fired 6,000 veterans without cause.
Okay.
They're getting ready to fire 83,000 VA employees. They're cutting SNAP benefits that feed more than 1 million veterans.
Stop. First and foremost, if any of you have ever been to the VA, you know that a lot of those people that work there that you come across need to be fired. I just told the story about how the lady, the blood draw chick, had a whole HIPAA violation. Having my father read out his full social security number and saying his full name with the door open and a lobby full of people sitting no further back than that hole right there. Literally sitting at the door. She had him do that, even though I had his VA card and everything. She didn't want to go about it. No, I need his full social. What's your full name? I'm looking at this chick. I want to slap the light skin off of her. Ugh. And then was too damn lazy. She wanted me to move the wheelchair. So I moved the wheelchair back because she was too lazy to get up out of her roller chair. Fat heifer. Too lazy to get out of her chair to do the blood draw. And then she didn't even need me to move the wheelchair. By the time she scooted over to him, there was plenty of space for the wheelchair to sit there. She just wanted to be a bitch. And she should have... Ooh, them people at the VA, there are some good ones, but there are a lot of bad ones. A lot of horrible people that work at the VA. A lot of lazy bastards that work at the VA. They deserve to be fired. I have no sympathy. The ones that actually do their jobs that are good, I compliment them. Thank you. I appreciate it. Like, you made this experience very, very welcoming. I appreciate it. They're like, oh, thank you. I mean, they're genuinely like, thank you. And I see these people, a lot of we go into VA at least 4 times a month. Those people are terrible. I feel nothing.
The Medicaid coverage is being cut that covers 3 million military families, and Social Security checks that support nearly 8 million veterans. They're selling out our veterans to enrich billionaires, and they're insulting them as they do it.
Who? Where's your
Before the
evidence?
speech last night, one of Trump's top advisors was asked specifically about all the veterans they had fired.
What about them?
She said,
What'd she say?
quote, they're not fit to have a job.
Ah!
There is nobody more fit than a patriot who has voluntarily put on a uniform, who has exposed themselves to injury, to death, to illness, who has chosen to make those sacrifices
We understand
to
all
defend
that.
us,
But
to defend
war's
our
over.
country, our democracy. Democrats are here to say in unison, we will not allow our veterans to be defined as government waste.
Every veteran that I know personally are fit to work because they're hardworking people. They're not just sitting back collecting a check. You understand? They're not just sitting back collecting a check, doing half-ass jobs, just skating by. I know a lot of veterans. They are hardworking people, and there are also some veterans that are on some woe is me. Only joined the military because they had no way out, and it never changed. They never changed their personality, but it's only a small few. It's only a small few. But that's a personality situation. But it's okay. They can all they're about to bring back the auto industry. They're about to bring back the oil rigs. They're about to fire up the steel mills. A lot of illegals have abandoned jobs, work sites, and everything. The police force is getting ready to start hiring. Are they not? You have just because you are a veteran doesn't mean that you are guaranteed provisions in this country. Yes, you have benefits that are guaranteed to you, but you're not guaranteed a job. You're not guaranteed to be slovenly. You're not guaranteed to, skate by. You're not guaranteed to defraud the government. I know you feel like they owe you, rightfully so. I mean, you were shot at, more than likely. Bombs going off around you. I get it. Your life was on the line, and we salute you for that. Thank you for your service. But once you come back here to America, that doesn't mean that you get to sit on your ass and drink and smoke and do drugs all day and sleepwalk your way through society. Go out here and be a productive person. And I know that sounds harsh, but I mean, that's just the reality of life. Life is not fair. Life is not fair. Life is tough. Get a helmet.
And we are privileged to be joined by 3 heroes who have served our country in uniform. 3 patriots who are watching the Republican Party and the President of the United States turn their backs on them. First, we will hear from Chris Wicker, a proud Air Force veteran and a small business owner who was senselessly fired from the SBA. Chris? Where's Chris? There he is. Chris, thank you for joining us.
Oh, God. If he talks with a lisp, I'm going to die laughing.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Wicker. I am an Air Force veteran, a former small business owner. I am from Minnesota, a constituent of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
Oh
And in
no.
July of 2024, I landed the job of a lifetime for me. I was the deputy director for the Minnesota District Office of the U.S. Small Business Administration. Now, I joined the Air Force straight out of high school, where I spent 6 years on active duty as an intelligence analyst. I spent almost 10 years in national security, and in a tent in Kabul, Afghanistan, I used the SBA's resources to write a business plan for a cleaning company to start a different life.
There we go.
The SBA helped me get my cleaning business off the ground.
Okay.
My dream was to one day help people start and run their own business. And I have been very passionate about this work.
Good.
So for the better part of 8 months, I have supported others at the agency that helped me when I came home from Afghanistan.
Okay.
I know what it's like to be a veteran, feeling like there aren't a lot of options in the world for us.
We get it. Yes.
I became a resource to help those people. Until last month, when I received an email saying that I was fired because of my performance. That is a lie.
So he got fired because of his performance. And what did I just say? Because it sounds like he had a very nice little cushy job, didn't it? Sounds like he had a nice little cushy job just helping veterans write business plans and getting business loans. But yet here he is fired. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't. Where's your business? I mean, you supposedly breaking your neck to help other veterans start businesses and everything, right? So what you said you had a business. What happened to your business? Why don't you write a business plan for yourself and get a federal grant or a loan from the bank and start up again instead of being up here bitching, moaning, whining, and crying like a little pillow biter and start anew? Because not the one thing that's guaranteed is that nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. But let's hear your sob story. Oh, wait. You're right. I'm playing the wrong music. Hold on. I got y'all.
My termination was not based on performance, and I am now one of tens of thousands of federal workers wrongly terminated.
Yeah, a lot of people say that
I
they
am
get
here
fired
to
because
speak
of
up
performance.
on behalf of all federal workers who are being treated like garbage and who are feeling scapegoated, rightfully so. I am here to speak up for the people who lost their jobs wrapped up in a lie that their performance was inadequate. These are the folks that put life into our cities, and they make it worth living in them, cities like Minneapolis, every single day. These people, my people, walk past the American flag and pledge allegiance to it every day as they serve their communities. They are good Americans, and I am a veteran. I know what a loyal patriot looks like, and every single one of those people deserves the gratitude of a thankful nation and not the demonization and criticism that they have been getting. This is unacceptable, and it must end.
So you think you just owe the job, right?
I thank the members, seriously. I thank the members, especially Congresswoman Omar. Thank you. All of the advocates who have gathered here today and to help me push back. We will not stop elevating the stories of those who have been impacted. Thank you.
Oh, you got fired. What a tragedy. He got fired. What a tragedy. Thank you.
Small.
Maybe their department isn't
Hello.
returning revenue.
My name is Louise.
Okay,
I'm
exactly.
from a small town in Pennsylvania called Tobyhanna.
Oh,
I'm sure many of you have children. I myself have 4 boys. They are 3, 12, 13, and 15.
You got a husband?
I served as a United States Navy CB for 3 years. I'm here today to urge Congress to put families first and prevent dangerous cuts to the programs that families like mine rely heavily upon.
Like what?
After I left the Navy, I struggled to find full-time work. I felt abandoned by my country.
What was your husband?
The one that I had worked so hard to serve.
What was
In the
your
Navy,
husband?
they don't teach you how to live life as a civilian.
What was your husband?
And I don't know how to keep me and my children afloat without these programs.
Where are their fathers?
During the difficult times that I have lived through, Medicaid, SNAP, and WIC were my lifelines. I needed these, and I still do. I don't understand why Republicans are trying to destroy these programs.
They're not.
These programs allow parents like me to take my kids to the doctor when they're sick and put food on my table. These same programs enable millions of veterans who don't qualify for services through the Veterans Administration to obtain medical care. My grocery bills keep going up. 2 years ago,
She's a goddamn lie. You do get free. Tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me, but is it or is it not true that that at the VA they do treat you no matter what your economic situation is? Because I've seen homeless people at the VA here in Decatur. I've seen homeless people get treated. You know they ain't got no money, they ain't paying no bills. So y'all tell me, am I lying? Doesn't the VA provide health care services, especially if you have children that are under the age of 18? If you've served, am I wrong? Somebody tell me that in the chat down below. Tell me how the VA handles somebody in her position that's got 4 kids under the age of 18 and she served. But notice she said she still got those programs though. She didn't say she was cut from WIC and all of that stuff. She still has it. But I don't know what lies they told her. But again, they're cutting social services from people who are defrauding the state.
when my infant son was born, a carton of eggs was $3. Now in my town, it's almost $8. If I lose SNAP, I won't be able to feed my family. If I lose Medicaid, my children won't be able to see a doctor when they're sick. Republicans want to take health care and food away from people like me, veterans and working parents, so they can give handouts to millionaires and billionaires. It's unacceptable that they'll let the people who serve this country suffer. Take it from me. Right now, it's not just us veterans, but all of us that suffer. Every day, veterans are suffering at the hands of the people that we fought to protect. And if the Republicans, those same people that we protected, get their way, it's going to hurt families like yours and like mine. It's time for all of America to stand together with us, the proud veterans of the United States military, and fight for our right to live and thrive in this country that we fought so hard to protect.
He's literally standing next to the people that are hurting him with their ideas and policies.
With that in mind, I'd like to introduce my fellow brother in arms, Eric Rodriguez. Thank you.
Come on up here, Eric.
Thank you.
Let's hear your fake outrage story, like hers.
A little emotional for me.
And this little, I got fun.
I'm Eric Rodriguez. I'm a disabled Iraq war veteran.
Okay. Thank you for your service. I mean that. I thank you for your service.
A VA worker, a proud SEIU union steward representing Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
I proudly serve my country.
Mm-hmm.
And now I proudly serve my fellow veterans.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, the Trump administration is trying to cut the VA. Frontline workers and let billionaires steal our health care. Veterans, we are under attack. Last week, 1,400 workers got fired illegally. 22 of them were my colleagues at at Hines VA Hospital.
Nobody gets fired illegally.
Some of them didn't even get a real notice. All they got was this. An email with X's where the date should be and no name. That's how little they think of people.
What did the email say? Read the email. What does it say?
That serve our country.
Read it. They're
slashing staff, crushing unions, and selling out the VA for what? So billionaires can make more money while veterans sit on wait list. Worse, they'll get no treatment.
You notice he still got a job.
The president was asleep while Musk was at the wheel.
You notice
you know what happens to a service member when they fall asleep when they're on duty? Veterans don't trust him. He's not one of us. We're not about to sit back and take the SEIU. We're fighting back. We're organizing and we're taking action.
How you gonna fight
We're
the
not going to back
job
down.
that no longer exists? You already got a
In the
job.
south side of Chicago, we stand on business.
Oh.
It's time for you to do the same. We've done our duty. Now we're asking the administration and Republicans to do theirs. We serve this country. We know how to take it. Take the fight to them.
Crazy.
And we know how to win. Thank you.
He still got a job though. He said other people got fired. So basically what you're hearing is that Trump is streamlining the VA. Because that's what it sounds like. Because the VA does have a lot of bureaucracy in it. It's a lot of time wasting. Not to mention the service. Oh, Lord. As a matter of fact, they're refurbishing the VA out here in Georgia. They're refurbishing it. They over there doing construction. They painting new furniture, all that stuff. So, and this started what? Early this year, like in January? Like shortly after Trump got elected, you saw a lot of changes here in Georgia's VA. A lot of good, positive changes. This time for people, he still got a job. He still got a job. He still got his benefits and everything. And he crying. His big tears.
At this time, I would like to pass it over to Vice Chair Lou, please. Thank you.
Is this that Asian guy that stood up with Letitia James?
Good afternoon. Thank you to Leader Jeffries for his leadership. I want to recognize some of the members on this stage. We're joined today by the ranking member of our Veterans Committee, Mark Takano, as well as Democrats who are veterans, Bobby Scott, Salud Carvajal, yeah. He's a Marine, so I have to do it twice. And Mike Thompson. All right. So last night, Donald Trump lied to you.
What did he say?
He promised a golden age, and the facts show we're entering a Trump slump. Inflation has increased, consumer sentiment is down. The Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta has now projected that our economy is going to contract. It's literally going to get smaller this quarter.
We
and
know
the chaotic
that.
actions of the Trump administration, enabled by House Republicans, are not harming our country, they're also harming our veterans. 1 in 4 federal employees are veterans. So when the Trump administration indiscriminately, in many cases brazenly, illegally fires federal employees, that has a disproportionate effect on our nation's veterans. No wonder, as Whip Clark mentioned, nowhere did Donald Trump mention veterans issues last night. House Republicans are also harming our nation's veterans. The radical budget that they just passed with $880 billion of cuts to Medicaid harms our veterans because 1 in 10 of our veterans get coverage through Medicaid.
Again.
And I want to thank today our veterans, Chris, Louise, and Eric, for sharing their powerful stories. And I'm going to conclude on this story. I met Eileen, a veteran, yesterday.
Georgia
She
is an
served in the
admiral
U.S. Air
state.
Force. She then went to work at FEMA in Alabama, the same state where I started my active duty training in the Air Force. She was one of the first volunteers to go to Hurricane Helene. She has 2 kids, ages 4 and 10. And on President's Day, she got an email similar to what Eric got that said she was fired. No notice, no severance pay. She couldn't even go back to her office. A few days later, she had to walk into the middle of a field in the snow and her supervisor to come out and give her office items in a box. That is not how we should treat our nation's veterans. It's not how we should treat our federal employees. And it's not how we should treat any American. The actions of the Trump administration.
Okay, y'all tell me, how should you treat somebody that got fired? Should you give them like roses and a sash and a crown and a scepter and, you know, a 10-second French kiss? Like, how should you treat somebody that's been fired? I'd like to know.
doctrine are shameful, immoral, and they are completely hurtful to veterans. That's why, under leadership of Hakeem Jeffries and all the Democratic members here in this room, we are fighting back and we will prevail. It's now my honor to introduce our amazing caucus chair, Pete Aguilar.
I feel like I'm getting the worst hand job of my life right
Ted
now.
Lieu, Vice Chair of the Democratic Caucus, for his service to the country wearing a uniform or here in the halls of Congress. House Democrats are focused on the American people who are being harmed by this Republican budget, which slashes Medicaid to help pay for tax cuts for billionaires, that hurts the VA healthcare system. An Air Force veteran who continued his life in public service as a deputy director of USDA, that gets caught up in the chaos and the dysfunction of Elon Musk's crusade
like
to
everybody
line
up
his
here
pockets
speaking,
with
so
even
he'll
more
probably be
taxpayer dollars. Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing your story. A Navy veteran and mother of 4 who relies on SNAP and Medicaid to put food on her table and to
The
keep her
black will
children
probably
healthy,
go last.
who Republican Rob Bresnahan of Pennsylvania's 8th Congressional District betrayed by voting to take away her health care. Thank you, Louise.
Nobody took away her
And
health.
to Eric, an Army veteran and a frontline worker at the VA hospital, we want to tell you, we will not get distracted by the lies that you heard last night. We are going to keep the focus on where it deserves and to focus on what the president does, not what he says. These stories are happening all over the country, and sadly, it's only going to get worse. It didn't have to be this way, but Trump and House Republicans refuse to prioritize the needs of everyday Americans. The American people were told that this version of the president would be different. We were told that this version of the president would bring down prices on day one. Instead, prices are going up. The economy is in a free fall, and Trump's reckless tariffs are going to make it worse. Their only focus is on passing massive tax giveaways for corporations and billionaires. We were told that this version of President Trump could be trusted to lead our country at a perilous time.
Again, tax cuts for everybody. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Trying to get rid of the IRS and creating the ERS. Bringing corporations into America to create jobs. The gold card. The big 3 auto. United Steel. Oil rigs drilling off the Gulf of America. Getting oil, more oil from Alaska. Creating more jobs there in Alaska. The most forgotten state in the union. Next to Hawaii. All right, that whole Maui situation still hasn't been dealt with. And as far as this whole dog and pony show, it hasn't even been 2 months. Good Lord, he's going to get to the veterans when he gets a chance. Calm your tits.
In our history,
Stop trying
we were
to
lied to,
kill the
and
die.
we will hold accountable the people who perpetrated this lie on our constituents and the American people. Thank you so much for being here.
These people are liars. Everybody up here is a goddamn liar. They're all liars. This fool got fired because his department wasn't producing. This woman lying. Ain't none of her benefits, especially her health care or nothing, was cut. This guy still got a damn job. And by the way, if you notice, yeah, you're right. The black guy didn't speak. Just these 3, the 2 whites and the Latino. And this guy with his fake tears sitting up here acting like, my friends got fired. Who am I going to gossip with now?
One thing I'll just get a little emotional about is it does, as a woman, feel pretty. I feel like the humanity of women and their rights.
But yeah, I mean, the white woman fake crying thing, I could do it too, but and then you just turn it off.
No one cares. And even in the face of Trump and everything that he represented. That's a tough pill to swallow.
When it always a dog and pony show with these people, man. Ooh. You say time ran out on the black man. Because these people came up here, they didn't even really have nothing to say, to be honest. They really had, I mean, I'm looking for sob stories. There are no sob stories. You got a dude, this dude right here, had the business, supposedly, but then he wound up working for the VA trying to help veterans write business plans. But dude, you don't even, where's your business? You sound pretty incompetent to me. I mean, you can't even dress right. Then you got this chick lying about her health care and her welfare benefits and everything that are still in existence. And then this dude crying about his cronies losing their jobs because they were incompetent. Matter of fact, let's check in on my favorite girl, boy. Because she be dropping gems. Y'all know Lindy Lee. Oh, cute, pretty little Lindy Lee. She been dropping gems on her Instagram, boy. But she's been making a lot of rounds. But yeah, they're calling her a traitor and a turncoat and everything, even though they kicked her out. Of course, y'all know this is valuetainment. They called her a plant and a grifter. Let's get to it.
These shots you're taking, people are coming after you left and right.
You know, it's actually, I was just texting somebody in the middle of the night a few hours ago, and I'm saying something after my Sean Ryan interview, something cracked. I'm no longer the same person I was before that interview.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of hate and the amount of venom in that hate has altered me, I think. Hopefully not permanently, but there's just something just snapped. It's just, and what did I do? Let's think about what actually happened. I told the truth, right? That's really what happened. And there are, on the right, there are people who are pissed off that I jumped the line, so to speak, that I'm getting media attention. On the left, they're so angry that I told the truth because they don't want to be held accountable for the billions that they set on fire. They don't want to be held accountable for the conspiracy around Biden's cognitive decline.
So in the last week, I'll just tell you in the last week what happened. When I'm doing an interview, I'll ask peers, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And these are the different responses I got from people, just so you know that. One response was, she's my favorite. I love her. She exposed everybody. You have to talk to her. She's amazing. Let her talk. Let her tell all the dirt, the stuff that the DNC has done, et cetera, et cetera. Great. And by the way, that was a lot of people that were on that side. I'm at a Goldman Sachs event 2 days ago in Miami, and one of the vice chairs is giving a talk to a small group of 40, 50 people. One of the investors that's their client that's theirs comes up to me, he watches a podcast. He says, let me tell you about this. What do you think about this Lindy Lee girl? And he's telling me this. I'm like, what do you think about her? So I'm curious. I'm getting ready. I think she's a plant. I think she's a grifter. I think she's a this. I said,
Plant
really?
from where?
Well, he's telling me this. And this is a guy that's a $500 million guy. He's a money guy. So I said, so let me ask you, who did you vote for? I voted for Trump. Really? So would you consider yourself a rhino? Were you a Nikki Haley? I can't stand Nikki Haley. Really? And you don't like, I don't like Lindy. Very interesting. So you're not with it. No, you're not. All right. So then I'm sitting there myself. I'm saying, the tweets from you right in the past. You've seen these tweets that were in the past. I mean, this is just
thug. Let's just talk about it.
Right. Just in the last 4 years, I'll give you some of these things you said, right? 2020, February 26, Joe Biden has the biggest heart of any of the candidates. He also doesn't raise our blood pressure or alienate 70% of the party, rest of America. That's 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Then there's another one. Happy National Joe Day. I took this in SF last year. Every time we meet, Biden is kind and compassionate. That's that one. Great. No problem. You're saying nice things about Biden. Another one here is, I was with President Biden a few minutes after the debate tonight. Here we are at the watch party. He was amazing and kind as he always is, remembering tiny details about me and my family. I don't care what the pundits say about this great man. I will always be Team Biden. That's June of 2024, say 9 months ago. Then there's another one here, July 21st. I fully endorse Kamala Harris for president. She is a fierce champion for everything we hold dear, including our cherished democracy, reproductive rights, et cetera, et cetera. Another one. To the haters out there, underestimate the Vice President Kamala Harris at your peril. She's a tremendous force for good. Another one. Nikki Haley is just jealous because Kamala Harris is more powerful and closer at the presidency than she'll ever be. I mean, I can go on and on and on and read all this stuff, right? I will tell you, I think it's very important that you're talking about it, but I wrote 2 other things down that maybe caused you to want to leave. And I'd be curious to know any one of these. I'd love for you to just get into it so the audience knows, and then we can get into all the questions. Did someone offend you? Did somebody try to bully you? Did something happen at the end with just the camel? You know, it was like, I am absolutely done with this bullying, with this threat, with all this bullshit. I'm out of here. I'm going to tell all your BS because you guys didn't keep your commitment. You guys didn't play the game and you left. What was it for you to make this dramatic of a change within a few days?
First of all, it was a few months. I know this is not what I anticipated at all. And thank you for, you're always extremely fair to your guests. So I know that I have critics out there, and I'm happy to address all of their questions and concerns. It wasn't just bullying. Bullying I can take. I've been hated on and screamed at and spit upon all my life. And I'm sure you have too. You know what it's like. It's just part of the cost of doing business.
For sure.
Bullying is one thing. The death threats, the smear campaigns, the cancer culture campaigns, that's a whole nother level. Going after my parents who have nothing to do with this, finding their address, harassing these 2, like they're getting up there. You know?
Is your former colleagues. You're saying.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
my parents who have absolutely nothing at all to do with this. They just love me. That's their only crime. Like to drag them in, to drag my brother in. That is just so, I'm getting like heated just talking about it. That is not acceptable.
In what way did they do that?
Messaging my parents with these threats. My mom, I have receipts. I don't know. I can send you the screenshot after my brother telling me my mom has been freaking out all day because of the death threats, and she had to file a police report. It's just so over the top. Like going after me is one thing. I can take it, but my mom, who has nothing, it's just out of bounds.
What were they telling your mom? And how soon was it after the election? Like
a week or two. When it wasn't at that point, I was just asking questions. Like, it wasn't even. I was like, "What happened to the $2.5 billion we raised? Why did we spend it on Beyonce? Why did we spend 2.5? Why did we spend millions of dollars on Oprah?" Like legitimate questions that needed to be answered. But the amount of hate I got for that was just overwhelming. And the final straw, the moment that I knew that I needed to leave, was actually around Christmas Eve, when the chair of the party, he's the biggest clown that the Democratic Party has ever, like, honestly, in recent history, I can't think of a more incompetent boob than this man. And if you just look at him,
it's pretty bad to be an incompetent boob. That's not good. DNC Chair Rob, can you pull up which one are you talking about?
Jamie Harrison.
Okay, I got you.
And
Tell me why.
You can go on his timeline. Just look at his tweets from yesterday. They're all about me. If he had spent more time attacking Republicans or actually running a campaign, we wouldn't. If he had spent half the time he did attacking me on attacking Republicans, they wouldn't be in this situation. Do you see it? He's calling me a narcissist. He's showing my private communications. This guy is obsessed.
What's he showing, Rob? Can we see it? Lindy Lee, you're a narcissist, and the only question you raised to me were those asking how you could get another picture with the VP or how you could get into the reverse seating areas of rallies, grifters, going to grift. You are a fraud, but the next time you want to check me on Newsmax, make sure you share some of the notes you sent. You want to name areas of get another picture with the VP.
I'm making sure I get his name right. I'm about to see. He looked like one of them black guys that probably let his wife peg him. Oh, there he is. All right.
VP or how you could get into the reverse seating areas of rallies, grifters, going to grift. You are a fraud, but the next time you want to check me on Newsmax, make sure you share some of the notes you sent.
You know what set him off? I said that he engaged in a conspiracy to hide Biden's cognitive decline. Instead of engaging with me on the content and substance of my criticisms, he's doing this childish 5-year-old shit. Like, honestly, grow up. Are you a toddler?
Yes, you got a fresh mouth.
And for the past couple months, he's been tweeting GIFs at me of like raging dumpster fires instead of answering the basic question. Why did we squander the hard-earned money of the American people? We had a duty of care to them, a trust. If people are giving money to the Democratic Party, we needed to be good stewards of those funds, not blowing it on five-star hotels for ourselves or fancy dinners or whatever, which is what he did. And the fact that he chose not to run for re-election tells you everything, that no one has confidence. And I'm still in touch with Democratic donors at that level. You know, the uniparty stuff, there's a certain element of truth to that. I still am friends with a lot of Democratic donors. All of them think so little of this guy. He failed upwards. He lost bitterly to Lindsey Graham and then got his job as DNC chair because he was friends with James Clyburn. But I don't even want to waste oxygen talking about him. But he is just an emblem of what is wrong with this Democratic Party. They don't want to answer substantive questions. They go for these personal attacks. Hey guys, I'm so excited to be on Connect. I will answer any questions no matter what it is, whether it be politics, sex, your love life, family issues, whatever it is, I'm here for you. I want to be your friend. I want to talk with you and understand you. So please reach out. I can't wait to hear from you. Thanks so much, guys.
If you enjoyed this video.
So here's this guy's page. Okay. He still got this stupid thing up. Harris Walls. Like, dude, it's been almost 6 months? Really? Change that pic. But at any rate, he feels that this is a gotcha question, which, by the way, I need to download because I am compiling a list of all the stupid things this woman said. Talking about some breaking. This is from Really American. Breaking. In a stunning moment, Rep. Jasmine Crockett asked mayors whether there are any immigrants rolling around their cities with 34 felony convictions. All answered no, because that could be a danger to the community. She is a national treasure. Thank you. So stupid. So stupid. This guy says, nothing makes me happier than this queen, KWEN, being the face of the Democrat Party. America is blessed in her enemies. She is a hood rat fool. She is absolute trash. She thinks she's clever, but she just makes it very clear to anyone with any sense at all that she is an absolute idiot. Illegals are all criminals by definition. Like, you idiots still haven't figured out why you lost. Amazing. Jasmine is quickly becoming the face of the Democrats. Good. Let's see. Let's see. This fat white chick says Jasmine Crockett out here using facts, logic, and actual governance, while certain other members of Congress, cough MTG, Boebert, cough, are busy ranting about space lasers in Hunter Biden's laptop. Imagine if more politicians did their jobs instead of chasing clout on Fox News. But yet Jasmine Crockett is chasing clout on CNN, MSNBC, The Breakfast Club, The View. All right. Doing little goofy little hood rat dances on Tickety Talk. Right. And like this guy said, if the convictions were legit, it would be overturned in appeal. He doesn't win the election last November. Dems on the wrong side of many 80-20 issues, including illegal immigration, and they are doubling down. Like, yeah, like make her the face of the Democrat Party. I'll support her in that role. Like, she was an ambulance chasing lawyer who made a name for herself getting black idiots matter thugs out of jail. Crockett is comedy gold. Pop quiz. What crime are the 34 felony counts related to? Like, she is a clown, nothing more, you know, and more and more and more and more hate on this freaking chick. Like, very little support whatsoever. But, you know, say he talks slick about blacks leaving the plantation. Jamie Harrison. Oh, that was him. This little goofball. Let's see what this media looks like. Yeah, he a true Democrat, ain't he? He a true Democrat. Truly on the plantation. At any rate, look. We're gonna get into the, depending on how early I get up tomorrow, because tomorrow I got a full day with my homie. But I'm no promises, but I'm gonna try to get into the, hold on, make sure. As you can see, I already got stuff lined up concerning everything that happened dealing with the sanctuary cities. You see, Brandon Johnson took a beating. He took a beating. They went straight for him. Him and this chick right here, Boston Mayor Michelle, those took a beating. They tried to come after Eric Adams. AOC tried to come after Eric Adams. I don't know if I should throw that in there, but you see, they asked Mayor Johnson, who elected you? You know, then he spoke afterwards. I'm pretty sure he threw some, they come after me because it's racist. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. That's a lot of videos to get into, as you can see. So we don't have time to get into them tonight, but we'll definitely get into them tomorrow. All right, we'll definitely try to get into them tomorrow, but I'll try to get up early. We'll see. No promises, but y'all be